Listen up, riders, because today we're diving into the 8 motorcycle boot mistakes that snap ankles and could leave you hobbling for months. Ankle and foot injuries are among the most common in motorcycle crashes, with your ankles exposed to extreme forces during even minor spills. But here's the kicker. Many of these injuries could have been prevented with proper boot selection. Your ankles are complex joints that, once damaged, often never fully recover. We're about to expose boot blunders even seasoned riders make, including one controversial mistake that'll have you questioning everything the motorcycle gear industry's been telling you for decades. Before we dive into these ankle-destroying mistakes, if you're finding this information valuable, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We drop truth bombs about motorcycle safety every week that could literally save your skin and your bones. Plus, stick around, because at number 3, I'm going to reveal why the boot feature that every salesperson swears by might actually be working against you in certain crash scenarios. Mistake number 8, ignoring break-in period. Low risk. Coming in at number 8, we got riders who treat new boots like they're already broken in. Fresh motorcycle boots are stiffer than a frozen garden hose, and that stiffness means your ankle isn't moving naturally. During sudden stops or swerves, you're literally fighting against your own gear, which sounds minor until you realize the implications. The controversy here is that manufacturers often claim boots should be ride-ready straight out of the box. That's wishful thinking at best. Leather needs genuine wear time to conform to your specific foot and ankle anatomy. During those first rides with new stiff boots, your ability to feel and operate controls is notably compromised. Your muscle memory for shifting and rear brake application gets thrown off because the boot doesn't flex where your ankle expects it to. At highway speeds, even a slight delay in reaction time translates to significantly longer stopping distances. Here's what most riders don't realize. Professional racers often have multiple pairs of the same boots in various stages of break-in. They'll practice in well-worn pairs and only use fresh boots after extensive breaking in off the bike. The smart move for us regular riders is wearing new boots around the house for at least a week before hitting the road. Walk up and down stairs, do some squats, even wear them while watching TV. Yeah, you'll look ridiculous wearing race boots while cooking dinner, but it beats trying to explain why you couldn't get your foot down fast enough at that intersection. The leather needs to develop flex points at your specific ankle articulation points, and that only happens through movement. Mistake number 7, wrong size selection. Low to moderate risk. Number 7 is the close enough mentality destroying ankles across America. A shocking number of riders wear incorrectly sized motorcycle boots, and not just slightly off. We're talking wrong enough to fundamentally compromise protection. Motorcycle boots aren't sneakers where a little extra room is no big deal. That seemingly harmless extra space becomes a serious problem during impact dynamics. When you crash, your foot moves inside the boot. Too much room means your toes can slam forward into the toe box with enough force to cause fractures. But here's the counterintuitive part. Boots that are too tight are equally dangerous. They can't flex properly during impact, which concentrates forces directly on your ankle joint instead of distributing them throughout the boot's protective structure. It's like the difference between punching a pillow versus punching a wall. The weird physiological factor nobody talks about is that your feet actually change size during rides. Vibration from the engine combined with the dependent position of your feet causes them to swell. A boot fitting perfectly in the parking lot might be cutting off circulation after an hour on the highway. That's why experienced riders shop for boots in the afternoon when feet are naturally slightly swollen. But here's the real kicker. Motorcycle boot sizing is wildly inconsistent between manufacturers. European brands typically run narrow. American brands run wide, and Asian brands are all over the map. Even within the same brand, touring boots might feel completely different than sport boots. The only solution is trying on boots with the exact socks you'll wear riding. And if ordering online, buy from retailers with generous return policies. Your ankle's structural integrity depends on those few millimeters of proper fit. Mistake number 6, choosing style over substance. Moderate risk. At number 6, we're entering the danger zone where Instagram photos start costing you bones. Those gorgeous vintage engineer boots or minimalist cafe racer boots might make you look like you stepped out of a motorcycle museum, but many offer about as much ankle protection as ballet slippers. The retro boot trend has completely exploded, with classic-styled boots now outselling technical boots in many markets. The problem is that most are designed for the coffee shop parking lot, not for when you're sliding across asphalt. Real motorcycle boots incorporate ugly but essential protective features that fashion boots skip entirely. We're talking about external ankle cups that ruin the sleek profile, torsion control systems that make the boot look clunky, and toe boxes reinforced enough to handle being trapped under 500 pounds of motorcycle. A protective boot should feel almost uncomfortably stiff when walking. If it doesn't affect your gait, it's probably not protective enough. The minimum accepted standard is CE Level 1 certification, but here's where it gets controversial. Many stylish boots claim to be motorcycle boots without any certification whatsoever. They're banking on riders not understanding the difference between motorcycle styled and motorcycle protective. Some manufacturers even use terms like rider boots or biker boots, specifically to avoid safety regulations while still appealing to motorcyclists. The harsh truth is that proper protection often looks bulky and technical. Those sleek boots that match your vintage bike perfectly, they're fashion accessories that happen to cover your ankles. When choosing between looking cool and keeping your ankle bones inside your skin where they belong, remember that crutches really clash any outfit. Mistake number 5, neglecting sole construction, moderate to high risk. Number 5 is where we separate the real protective footwear from the expensive cosplay. Sole construction is the most underappreciated aspect of motorcycle boot safety, yet it's absolutely critical for ankle protection. Thin-soled boots might give you that coveted feel for the pegs and controls, but they're essentially eliminating your first and best line of defense against impact forces. When your foot hits the ground in a crash, and statistically it will, that impact energy has to go somewhere. A properly designed motorcycle boot sole needs multiple layers working together. The outside layer should be oil-resistant rubber with specific durometer ratings for grip without being too soft. The midsole requires impact-dampening materials like EVA or polyurethane foam in graduated densities. The insole needs to provide a stable platform that prevents your foot from collapsing into unnatural positions during impact. Here's what nobody discusses at Bike Night. Heel design is actually more critical than overall thickness. A defined heel with the right geometry creates what biomechanical engineers call distributed load paths. It essentially spreads impact forces across a wider area rather than concentrating them on your heel bone. These completely flat-soled riding shoes trending on social media, they're transferring impact forces directly up through your skeletal structure like a shockwave. The gold standard is a sole thickness of at least 20 millimeters at the heel, tapering to about 10 millimeters at the toe. But thickness alone isn't enough. The sole needs to be bonded, not just glued, to the upper boot. In high-energy crashes, glued soles can separate completely, leaving you essentially barefoot. Quality boots use Goodyear welt construction or direct injection molding to ensure the sole stays attached when you need it most. Mistake number 4, overlooking protection height, high risk. Coming in at number 4 is the mistake that turns minor get-offs into season-ending disasters. Most riders obsess over ankle armor while completely ignoring coverage height. Your tibia and fibula, the two bones in your lower leg, are directly connected to your ankle joint. A boot stopping at mid-calf is like wearing a bulletproof vest that only covers your chest while leaving your stomach exposed. When you go down, especially in a low side, your leg often gets trapped under the bike. Any hard component, exhaust pipes reaching 400 degrees, sharp foot peg brackets, engine cases with protruding bolts, becomes a weapon aimed at whatever's exposed above your boot line. The injury pattern orthopedic surgeons see repeatedly is a protected ankle with devastating damage starting exactly where the boot ended. Adequate protection starts at 10 inches minimum from the sole, but 12 to 14 inches is optimal for real coverage. Yes, Tall boots are harder to put on, they're hotter in the summer, and they make you walk like you're auditioning for a sci-fi movie, but consider that exhaust pipe burns often require multiple skin grafts with treatment costs that can exceed the price of a new motorcycle. The permanent scarring and potential nerve damage aren't just cosmetic issues. They can affect your ability to ride comfortably forever. The controversial aspect is that many touring boots marketed to older riders are deliberately shorter for comfort. Manufacturers know their demographic values easy on-off and walking comfort over protection. They're essentially selling expensive ankle covers while leaving the equally vulnerable lower leg exposed. It's a calculated marketing decision that prioritizes sales over safety. Mistake number 3, the rigid upper misconception, high risk. Here's number 3, the controversial mistake that challenges everything boot salespeople preach. Those ultra-rigid boot uppers marketed as maximum protection might actually be creating catastrophic failure points. When your boot is uniformly rigid like a medieval suit of armor, it doesn't progressively absorb energy. It concentrates forces at the weakest link, which is invariably your ankle joint. Modern biochemical research reveals that controlled flexibility allows for what engineers call managed energy dissipation. Think about modern cars with crumple zones versus old rigid-frame cars. In identical crashes, the rigid vehicle transfers more force to occupants. Your boots work the same way. A boot that's completely inflexible everywhere except at your ankle is creating a mechanical fulcrum that actually amplifies rotational forces during certain crash scenarios. The ideal design uses graduated stiffness, more flexible at the top, progressively stiffer toward the ankle area, with engineered flex zones that work with your anatomy. This approach significantly reduces rotational injuries, particularly the dreaded spiral fractures that can end riding careers. But here's why you don't see many boots with this design. It's incredibly complex to manufacture. You need different materials at different zones, precise stitching patterns, and extensive testing to get the flex points right. Most manufacturers take the easy route, make everything rigid, market it as maximum protection, and let riders think stiffer automatically means safer. Some premium European boots, costing over $500, actually incorporate graduated stiffness, but they don't advertise it prominently because explaining biomechanics doesn't sell boots as well as toughest boots ever made. The riders suffering from what orthopedic surgeons call rigid boot syndrome injuries would disagree with that marketing approach. Mistake number 2, inadequate retention systems, critical risk. The runner-up mistake involves the terrifying reality of boot ejection during crashes. Studies of real-world accidents reveal that boots coming off during crash sequences is disturbingly common, with riders' feet going from protected to completely exposed in milliseconds. The best armor on earth is useless if it's lying on the road while you're still sliding. Simple closure systems, basic zippers, standalone Velcro straps, or pull-on designs might handle walking around, but they fail catastrophically under crash forces. During impact, your foot experiences complex rotational and pulling forces from multiple directions simultaneously. That convenient single zipper running up the inside of your boot, it's essentially a failure point waiting to happen. When subjected to lateral forces, zippers can burst open completely, especially if they're not backed by overlapping panels. A robust retention system requires multiple, independent closure methods working together. We're talking about heavy-duty zippers combined with adjustable straps at different heights, all protected by overlapping leather panels that maintain coverage even if primary closures fail. The gold standard includes at least 3 retention points, one above the ankle, one at the ankle joint, and one across the instep. Each should be capable of keeping the boot on independently. Those slip-on engineer boots beloved by cruiser riders, they're staying on through friction and hope. In a dynamic crash, when your foot is pulling away from the bike at odd angles while simultaneously being compressed and twisted, friction alone isn't nearly enough. Your foot can literally slide out, leaving you essentially barefoot at the worst possible moment. Even boots with multiple buckles often fail because the buckles are decorative rather than functional, using thin leather straps that tear under load. Mistake number 1, absent ankle armor, critical risk. The number 1 ankle-destroying mistake riders make is wearing boots with zero actual ankle armor. Not thick leather, not foam padding, not marketing buzzwords. Real ankle protection means hard armor cups on both sides of the ankle, integrated into a system preventing hyperextension and excessive rotation while allowing normal movement. Here's the sobering reality that should terrify every rider. The vast majority of motorcycle boots lack proper hard ankle protection. They're regular boots with motorcycle styling, offering protection barely better than hiking boots. In controlled impact testing, boots without hard ankle armor show nearly identical injury patterns to regular work boots. Your ankles might as well be wrapped in cardboard for all the good they're doing. True ankle protection requires rigid cups made from impact-resistant materials like TPU or carbon fiber composite, positioned precisely over the medial and lateral malleoli, your ankle bones. These cups must be integrated into a chassis that prevents your ankle from bending beyond its natural range in any direction. The system needs to handle not just direct impacts, but also rotational forces that cause the most devastating ankle injuries. The industry's dirty secret is that adding proper ankle armor increases manufacturing costs substantially and makes boots noticeably heavier. It also requires extensive R&D to create armor that protects without completely restricting movement. Most manufacturers take the path of least resistance. Use thick leather, add some foam, call it protective, and hope riders don't understand the difference. They're betting your ankles on marketing rather than engineering. When shopping for boots, physically squeeze the ankle area. If you can compress it significantly with your hands, it won't protect you in a crash. Real ankle armor feels almost uncomfortably rigid and adds noticeable bulk to the boot's profile. If this video opens your eyes to real motorcycle boot protection, subscribe right now for weekly safety content that could save your riding career. Drop a comment about your boot mistakes. I personally respond with recommendations. Remember, it's not about riding scared, but riding smart. Good protective boots exist at various price points if you focus on what matters: proper height, genuine ankle armor, multi-layer soles, graduated stiffness, and secure closures. Your future self with functioning ankles will thank you. Stay safe and keep the rubber side down.